Welcome everyone to Season 3, Episode 96 of the Premier Pod. I'm your host, Yash Bika, joined by my co-host, Tyler Chan. And as you see, we are back with another video pod. I am rocking a Middlesbrough jersey right here, and Tyler is rocking a, I believe, what you said, 2013-14 Liverpool kit?
The 2013-14 Liverpool jersey. I also got Suarez on the back.
There we go. Suarez. And you got it from a really cool website, but no, that's dope that you have like a throwback jersey to put on. Especially like,
good.
Didn't win the title that season, but
no, it was a rough season at the very end, but
almost did. And it's cool though. I've never seen the Warrior brand too, so that's dope. It's not Nike, not Adidas, not New Balance, Warrior. So
hopefully none of them watching are going to be like, whoa, censor this.
But no, it's a cool kit. It's got the long sleeves, so that's dope. But yeah, this is it'll be a fun episode. We have some pretty cool topics just about Tottenham sneaking away a win. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saving his job once again at the brink of death. Liverpool drawing against Man City, having some problems with the VAR and a couple things that happened in that game, and just some other topics that have come up since then. But to start it off, we have to start it off with the biggest game of the weekend, which was Manchester City versus Liverpool. It lived up to the hype for the first half, and the second half, I'm sorry, it was a snooze fest. I think it was one of those where probably both managers outthought themselves, and all the players were probably like, okay, we probably need to chill after that first half. But unfortunately, one thing I want to talk about, I know you want to talk about the Trent injury, but the penalty that happened for Joe Gomez, that almost put Manchester City up it would have been 2-1, but obviously De Bruyne, put his shot wide in the penalty. I have never seen De Bruyne do that. But God, that penalty, the VAR problem, I just don't get it. How is that a penalty? Because you know how fast these players cross the ball, especially De Bruyne. I mean, he crosses the ball faster than probably anyone. And Joe Gomez is right here. He sticks out his hand right there, and it's considered a penalty. It like barely hits his arm. So we saw Liverpool players angry about it. Even the studio people in the studio, pundits across the world were upset about it. There was another incident in the Wolves-Leicester game where Leicester were awarded a penalty from basically almost the same thing, even worse. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I feel like there has to be some sort of revision of that, because the whole law is like it has to be in an unnatural playing position. But the way you shift your body, there's no way to move your hands and still keep balance, So I don't know. I think the rule definitely needs to be tinkered, because it's quite unfair to defenders at this point.
I know. And not even that, it's like also forwards too. It's like if you basically have to just chop off your arms at this point, because
exactly.
It's pretty ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like the Joe Gomez one could have had a little bit more to the fact that he kind of stuck his arm out a little bit, and then it hit him like as he turned the body, and like the arm kind of stuck out. So I could see like that, but even then, there's certain times when an arm is against the body, and since it just hit it instead of like the chest or something, that's why they called a penalty. So I think literally at this point, they're making so that the arm, any time it hits the arm for any way it's positioned, I don't even think it has to be in play or anything. Like, it's just a penalty. It's like the old fashioned way when Thierry Henry can just like chip the ball up from someone 2 feet away from him and just get a penalty because of just the rule being bad. Like, it's literally that bad. And to kind of add on to your thing, Yash, about just the arms in general being shady VAR calls, in the Leeds game, Patrick Bamford got a goal that he had like taken away because his arm was out. Like, he stuck out his arm to point where to go. He's like, point where the ball should be, and they counted his arm being pointed.
And it makes no sense, because isn't it supposed to be whatever's playable? Like, you can't play with your arm.
You can't use your arm. So so VAR deemed his arm as the farthest point of where he was. Like, his body was behind the last defender, but his arm was further than the last defender, and they counted his arm as offside. And I was like, wait, that makes no sense. You can't even use your arm to score. So it's like, why are they counting it in VAR for offsides? And we saw that plenty of times also against Mane in a previous Liverpool game. And it's so random where it's just like, why is it the arm now? Why is it like the elbow now? Why is it the shoulder now? There's like a lack of consistency in my opinion. And also it's just why are they even counting the arm for this? So many things. Like Peter Crouch, he's one of like the Premier League's best strikers of all time. He was saying he's as a 6'7" man. He's like, I should have, if I was still playing in this era, I'd be never able to score because I'm so lanky and like my arms are so long. I'd never be able to get like in position without getting an offside or a handball. So,
it's just I don't know. It's just pretty ridiculous. I think the way the rules are set up now, it just puts defenders at such a disadvantage. It's almost like you're playing FIFA 21. Like no one can defend now. It's just like you only attack. You can only attack. That's your only option. So I think that's obviously that was the main culprit in terms of what was leading in a lot of goals. And I think defenders have adjusted a little bit, but when you do see it, it's, if City do go 2-1 up, I mean, that totally changes what the game turns out to be. You just never know if Liverpool have enough to, get a point and such. But, that was a pretty big incident in the game. But another one was obviously De Bruyne missing a penalty. But your boy, the youngster, the right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold going down with an injury, which is unfortunate because Liverpool have been decimated by injuries this season, especially in their back line.
It was really sad to see because I was just like, no. Like, you saw the face Trent made when he went down. He just knew. It was like, all right, I'm going to be out for like a month. And he is going to be out confirmed for 4 weeks, which is not great for our back line. Milner came in as the backup right back for that game. And I'm just thinking, our back line is so makeshift. But luckily, Liverpool survived that match and, made it 1-1. But it kind of goes back to that, that conversation a lot of people have been having where this season is just going to be a season where whoever's team can be least injured or can just be the healthiest will be the winner. And I think that's what Pep Guardiola said himself. Like when someone asked him, one of the pundits were asking him, like in an interview, he was asked, who do you think has the best chance of winning the Premier League? He said, it's just based on whoever keeps their team healthy because injuries are going to be significant. Like, honestly, like since Liverpool lost Van Dijk at the beginning of the season, that was a big factor in seeing whether they could win the title. And then now losing Trent for a significant few weeks is going to be big. And we're not even sure if he can come back and be fully healthy and fit for the busy Christmas season. There's so many points you can get from the Christmas season.
Yo, man, I'm just this is a topic we're about to talk about later, but it's crazy the amount of games they're playing right now. And then just thinking about the Boxing Day games. Oh my gosh, these players, I feel so bad for them.
They literally had no preseason basically, or if they did, it was very short. And then they had a very accelerated end to the last season because we basically went straight from last season straight into this one with like a month of break. So they didn't really have the time to rest. And even then the conditioning was already shortened and makeshift at times. So I think if players didn't get injured from the Project Restart, it's starting to pop up more so now because now you're seeing, at least for Liverpool, a lot more significant injuries that are like decimating the team. It is rough to see. Like you're seeing this, I think we mentioned this before in another episode, but like in not only soccer, but you're also seeing it in other sports like NFL. And it's just so many big injuries to so many big players. And it's just a little worrying. And also it's worrying too that we're going to mention this later, but now coronavirus is just getting big once again. It's starting to spike, something that a lot of people were predicting for the flu season and holiday season. Everyone's getting together and things like that. But now it's starting to pop back up again on top of all these injuries. It's like, geez, what's going to happen for this winter? Because we know this is like a long tangent, but I hope games don't get canceled or things like that because of Corona, because that could happen too. But it's really hard to see Trent go down. I think we'll bounce back from it. He's only out for about a month, but I think now that means Milner steps up, or maybe they chuck Nico Williams up there at right back, the backup right back from the academy. And I mean, to kind of go back to the game too, real quick, it was very much like a chess match though, like that. We managed to, luckily we had Matip. He came back, so we didn't have to use Reece Williams or Nathaniel Phillips in center back, but it's just now getting so stringent in terms of how a team can win. Like it's literally like a chess match where it got so tactical in the second half, where it literally was like as if you're watching a chess match in real life. It just got really boring. I was just like, something happened, please. It was just so technical at the second half. I was just like, nothing's happening. Everyone's
take a long shot.
Yeah, someone take a chance, but it was so low risk and conservative, especially after Trent went down. I think that's like all compounded in that second half, where it's just like, you know what, let's just take it back. We're just gonna take the point, and it'll be cool. So, yeah, it was a very long-winded answer, but
I agree. It was definitely that chess match, and one thing that helped City, I'll point this out real quickly, was having Gabriel Jesus back, having an actual striker over there. But he did score a really good goal. However, he did miss a big chance in the second half to take a 2-1 lead with his header, and that kind of brings back the question, and one that I'm going to answer is I don't think he is. We've said this so many times on this podcast, and it just keeps coming up every time. A lot of people always say like, "Oh, Gabriel Jesus, this is his time. Aguero's injured." It's always Aguero's injured. Now it's his time to shine, and each time he's given that opportunity, he doesn't really take it, or has maybe a couple moments where he's like, okay, this guy can be world class, and then it's like, oh, well, he missed a sitter or he missed that. So at the end of the day, I think it's still the problem with City. They don't have another striker, a super reliable striker like Sergio Aguero, and without Aguero, their attack, even though it is still really good, they still lack that little bit of that. I don't know what you would call it, that finesse, that bit of that's the word I'm looking for, the class of Aguero. You just can't replicate that, and it's hard to find that, and especially when they didn't re-sign David Silva, and he's killing it right now in Spain in La Liga. I mean, he's probably one of the best players in Spain right now. So missing some of those class players that you can't really replicate. So that's one thing I just wanted to leave out for City, but I know. When it comes to Liverpool, it wasn't just the game and Trent's injury. I know, Tyler, there's some other big news happening behind the scenes going on in Liverpool right now.
Yes. So besides everything in terms of like team setup, the training facility for Liverpool, this is kind of like another tangent, but there's been a lot of confusion I see on Twitter for a lot of Liverpool players, like kind of reminiscing on the training pitch or like the training facility, Melwood. That's their famous training facility that has produced all the past Liverpool players from like the last few decades. And
Jordan
yeah, oh my gosh, Rossetier. Rossetier is listening to this and like, hey. but like there are posts from like Jordan Henderson and Fernando Torres posting is like, one last walk in memory lane, something like that, or like Stevie G posting something on Instagram. And people were like, is Jordan Henderson leaving? And like even Yus was saying, is Klopp retiring or like is Klopp resigning or something? It's like why is he posting about this? It's like, no, they're just moving training facilities to a new one called the AXA training facility. Like this will be in the region of Liverpool called Kirby, as I believe. I don't really know much about the geography of Liverpool since we're in the US, but apparently that's a big deal. And I looked at a quick video of what it looks like, and it looks insane. It looks like what I wish my house looks like. Wow. It was like 3 pitches, like a whole new
state of the art, basically.
Yeah, state of the art. Like basically they're just getting up to 2020, like the 21st century, since Melwood's a little older.
Yeah.
But now I think this will be a big move for Liverpool. This is a big move for the club because if you think about it, for the week, they're usually a player's training at this training facility for 4 or 5 days of the week, and then they only play at Anfield for 1 day or another stadium for the weekend. So for them, this is like big for the players because now this will be big for recruiting. This will be big for maybe recuperation and health because now there'll be different parts of the facility that they can use to recuperate.
Where are they supposed to train now?
Just one of the 3 pitches they have.
Oh wait, so the in Melwood or in the new?
Oh, in the new stadium, the new training facility. My bad. Yeah, the new training facility. It's built. There was actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
I should have mentioned that. It's finally built. It was supposed to be finished in June, but because of Corona, it got pushed back till now. So mid-November to late November. And because of the international break going on right now, they're doing the transition from Melwood to the AXA training facility.
Dang.
Okay. So Yeah, that's why everyone's getting really reminiscent about it. And you don't have to be alarmed. No one's leaving the club. No, like nothing is happening. It's just they're moving training facilities.
Did Suarez get a post?
Suarez, I think, did put a post. I think.
Nice.
But I for sure know Torres did. And like I think most of the Liverpool legends made posts. So because it was a big deal. So it's gonna be cool to see them transition to that. At least as a Liverpool fan, I can see from a work perspective, like a work mind, it's like, dang, this is cool. It's like moving offices.
No, so, it must be. I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of adjustment because, you know, when you start working from a different space, it takes a little bit of time to get adjusted to. I don't know. It's just like the fact of, let's say, you know, when everyone had to shift from working from home, it's different than working from the office. It took, you know, maybe a couple of days, couple of weeks to get, you know, actually settled down and used to the workflow and such. So I wonder if switching facilities might it might ring a little some alarm bells here or there, but I think overall they'll be fine. But I'm just curious to see what type of like maybe mental fatigue or something like that could happen. From
like you're saying, it might ruin the flow. Like it might not have
maybe just because.
Yet.
Yeah, maybe it might. Not necessarily. I think they'll still be a great team, but I think maybe just players and coaches for getting adjusted to a new home. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say.
I think it'll help them out still. Like when I feel like it's gonna be like a new gift. You know what I mean? Like when you buy something new, it's like when you get that new phone or like that new
PS5. That's supposed
PS5 to or something. Sponsored by no, it's not sponsored by something. But if they want to, like, let us know. But basically, it's kind of like that, where it's like, oh yes, like this is gonna be a cool new thing. I think that'd be cool, and maybe that'll be a motivator for them. It'll be something that will kind of get them like a new wind, and then they'll be the Liverpool of old from last season, and then just go off again. Who knows?
That would be interesting. I'm very curious. I'm definitely going to be looking for Twitter about the pictures and stuff. Now that you've hyped up the facilities, I got to see what they look like now.
And if Liverpool want to fly us out to look at the facility in person, of course not during Corona time, but in the future, hit us up.
Yeah, let us know.
thepremierpod@gmail.com.
Exactly. There we go. But yeah, I'm excited. That'll be a cool gift, like Tyler's saying, to Liverpool fans and just the Liverpool players in general to check out, and obviously be like their new training facility and home. But moving on to, I guess their biggest rivals, Everton. Actually, their two biggest rivals, Everton and Manchester United. They faced off, and it was a 3-1 win for Manchester United. It was interesting because Pogba and Van de Beek were dropped for this game after that complete disaster in the Champions League midweek, where they let Demba Ba run all the way through them. But this game, it was very interesting because he opted Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, this team, for some reason. Whenever there's reports about Solskjaer being fired, this team overperforms. This team performs like they're supposed to. It's honestly amazing how well this team performs when Solskjaer is literally on the brink of maybe getting sacked. And he opted for a midfield of McTominay and Fred and then Bruno. And I think it's been interesting because I think he likes sort of this midfield trio because he knows he's going to get that defensive responsibility from McTominay and Fred. And then it just allows Bruno to just do Bruno things, be very creative offensively.
In open play.
Yeah, he scored two goals in this game, and it was, classic Bruno, going into the box, getting his header in and such. And the big thing is, I like with the midfield, like the balance they have when they play with Fred and McTominay, but you got to find a way as a manager to get Pogba and Bruno together, or Van de Beek and Bruno, or whatever trio you want. I feel like you have to find a way to get a combination of those two because they're just too talented to just be left on the bench, And Cavani scored his first goal, which was great. Hopefully he can get, kind of fired on and kicked on. But another big thing that happened was Luke Shaw got injured. It was a muscle injury, a hamstring, and it kind of goes back to the argument of it was one of those accumulation of just too many games being played at such a short time span. And we saw a United player go down with the muscle injury, and it's unfortunate because he was starting to pick up a little bit of form. But overall, it was a it was a good win. It was a good win for Manchester United, but Jordan Pickford had a pretty bad game.
Yes, he had a rough one.
Yeah, had a terrible game, and I know Tim Howard was discussing this during the broadcast, but I honestly think this game, maybe Ancelotti gives him maybe a couple more games, but I honestly think this is the end of the road for Pickford. I think he's done as Everton's number one.
Really? And then they're going to use Olsen instead, the backup.
I think because the January transfer window is coming soon, I think they're going to be eyeing someone, but I just don't know. Like, especially a manager like Ancelotti. I know Everton are on the downfall right now, but Jordan Pickford is not helping them out in any way when it comes to the goalkeeping position.
That was so fast too. All of a sudden, Pickford just goes from the England number one keeper to on the way out of Everton potentially, because he's just so bad. But it's I mean, I gotta also say kudos to Man U for coming back from going 1-0 down.
Yeah, freaking Bernard decided to turn on his like Shakhtar Donetsk form right there.
Like 5'2" Bernard. But geez. And I would say I was looking at the two people in particular during this game who are on the hot seat, and that was Pickford, his facial reactions and how Carlo Ancelotti looked at him, and also Solskjaer's face, because, you know, when a manager is like on the hot seat and they score, usually they're not like, you know, very excited. They're not going hype. They're more like relieved. It's like, okay, maybe not this week then. It's like, maybe I got another week. But I think that's what I saw for Solskjaer, because that kind of confirms that he is on the hot seat. If like, because, you know, there's certain times when managers are saying, nah, it's just the press. It's just people saying, yeah, I'm still good to go. But I think he's really feeling the pressure because of just how he's reacting. And also I think Pickford too, because he's just feeling a little frustrated every time he conceded one. It's just, you just knew. It's like, I'm being exposed to everyone to see. So it's, I mean, some of the goals he just couldn't save. Like Bruno Fernandez's header, there's no way you can save that. But just, you know, whenever you are the keeper and then you're conceding goals no matter what, there will be that spotlight on you. And he did have a really rough game overall. So I don't even know. Like, who would want to, I don't know if they can even get rid of him, because they paid £30 million for him from Sunderland. So I think they're kind of trapped with them. It's going to be like a Kepa situation.
Oh boy.
Where it's like, well, this is what it is. You're just going to be stuck with them.
It's interesting. This is one quick little tangent about Everton, because I think United played the way they should have played. They should have beat Everton, and they did. But James Rodriguez is another guy that's been on a lot of conversation radar. He started off the season in amazing form. I mean, he was literally unplayable. But now, without Richarlison, and basically Everton playing a little bit more of like their beefier schedule, playing tougher opponents, we're seeing, at least I'm seeing it from this game, James is very ineffective. Couldn't really do much in the game. And the thing is, he's had Seamus Coleman kind of cover for him defensively, because James doesn't really track back, or, you know, he wants to just play in the attacking third. So, you know, this is going to be another interesting one for Ancelotti. Like, where is he going to play James Rodriguez going forward? Because I don't think he can keep getting away with just him not doing any work defensively, because I think it leaves him too exposed. And, you know, he hasn't been as effective going forward as he has been at the start of the season. So I don't know if it's one of those, he's hitting like that Premier League bump of that wall and he has to kind of just get over that. I still think he's going to be a really good player at the end of the day, but I think, you know, he's hitting a little bit of a kind of that wall, you know, that rookie wall they say.
The rookie wall.
I kind of like to say there's like a Premier League wall where whenever new players come into the league, they start off super, you know, some of them start off super good, and then they kind of hit that little bit of that weird patch for a couple games, and then they pick up some form. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what where James can go going forward, but I don't know if you had any type of doubts on him.
I think he's still a class player. I'm still surprised that he went to Everton, but, you know, he has dropped from form since his Real Madrid days. But even then, I think they still got a really top player. And I think for now, they're just really missing Richarlison, because
they're missing
Calvert-Lewin can't do it all himself.
Yeah.
And I think once he's back, they can go back to that old formation 4-4-2 and then be able to let James Rodriguez, run wild and just ping it to anyone he wants. But now since he has limited options, I think it makes it a little bit more predictable for their opponents to kind of, break up play and just stop James on the spot.
Yeah.
I think James is going to be like an Ozil kind of player where he won't track back. He's very much just going to stay up front, like no matter what you say.
Yeah. That is true. That's a good comparison. It is a good comparison. Two
he's
players
also really slow.
Yeah. But has an amazing left foot.
Yes. And I think, you can't leave James open. I think he still has the pedigree to light up the pitch whenever he wants. So I think even now he's like on the past his prime. I think he still has a little bit of juice left in the tank where every once in a while he just goes off at the beginning of the season. But I think he'll bounce back in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. I still think he's a class player, but he's definitely hit a blimp in his Everton career, which is, obviously just started. But moving on to a player that has come on recently from injury, getting acclimated is Hakim Ziyech from Chelsea. Obviously they bought him from Ajax. He came in basically the same time Werner did at last season, but obviously couldn't train with the team because of the whole transfer rules and such. Took him a little bit of time to get acclimated and get recovered from injury, but he has literally been on fire. He's been so fun and so amazing to watch playing from the wing. And gosh, Chelsea I know he's different from the Kai Havertz or Timo Werner and the Christian Pulisic and Mason Mount. He's a little bit older. Obviously, he's more refined as a player. It's not like he needs a bunch of developing, but
he's in his prime.
Yeah, he's in his prime right now. But man, he is he's really fun to watch. He's a great playmaker, and I think Chelsea have. We all knew what they were going to get when they bought him, but seeing him actually perform at this level, it's quite good. And I think he's just added another dimension to the Chelsea attack. And I don't know. I'm blown away. I really like him as a player.
Watching Chelsea play this weekend, granted, it was against Sheffield United.
Yeah, who have been really bad.
The current worst team. Yeah, they have 1 point. Yeah. They have 1 point. Like, this was the Sheffield we thought was going to be here from last season. Like, last season, we're saying they're going to be dead last.
When they loaned in Empudu, right?
Empudu, yeah.
Yeah, and then they bought Ryan Brewster, who's not performed very well this season.
Yeah, Ryan Brewster. Jeez Louise, he's making me look bad.
I know. Tyler's main guy from literally this time we started recording the Premier Pod. He was like, this is going to be the guy, and now he can't get the job done at Sheffield. I
think it might also play a part to the way they play. Because they're a very defensive team, so he has to do a lot himself, which I don't think is his style. So I think that might be a part too, just the playing style of Sheffield. I don't want to give him excuses for him to use, but if you're like a class player, you should be able to do everything yourself or whatever system you're in. You should still always be good. Yeah. But anyways, for Ziyech, I really think this Chelsea team is the equivalent of what would happen if you brought a bunch of creative players onto one team and then just played all of them at once. Because if you think about it, that last game they had Ziyech, they had Mason Mount. I believe Pulisic started, right?
Oh no, he was hurt. He's still recovering from his little minor injury.
Oh, this is what I was thinking about. Kovacic. All right, so Kovacic there. So there's 3 creative players just all there, and usually, if you think about it, there's usually just one. It usually would be Ozil for Arsenal, James Rodriguez for Everton, or in the case of Man U, it'd just be mostly Bruno Fernandes. But for Chelsea, I feel like they have 3. And Ziyech, he brings so much to that right side, even though he has this class where what he's going to do. It's kind of like Arjen Robben. He's going to cut in and use the left foot. And that's exactly what Ziyech does. But the fact that you can't stop him, that's what makes it so big. That's what makes it so that he's like a class player where it's coming, but you just can't stop it. And he creates so many chances. It's insane. He's like the opposite of, or not the opposite, but he's not a prolific goal scorer, but the way he sets up goals is very Ozil-esque at this moment of the season so far, because there are players, as Yesh was mentioning, you come in and then you hit a wall and then you just kind of struggle. And there are other players, I will also say, that come into this league and they just can't get it going. Certain players that just are not capable. like Mkhitaryan, and they come in and it's a whole different league, whole different system, and they just can't play their game. But Ziyech, he feels so free, and he feels like he just belongs in this league. It's pretty insane that he's doing what he is doing every single game. So it's another left-footed star, is what we're saying. Like James and now Ziyech.
Yeah, the Premier League loves left-footers, but I will say another thing real quickly about Chelsea is their defense has been really good. Obviously, this game they conceded a goal, but before this, they had 5 clean sheets in a row. All started with Edouard Mendy being their goalkeeper, and then they found a center-back pairing of Thiago Silva and Kurt Zouma. Haven't changed that. Ben Chilwell is their left back, and Reece James is their right back. And they've just looked very solid. I think it goes back to what Tyler was saying. I was very concerned about them bringing in Thiago Silva. What was he, like 36 years old or 35?
Yeah, he's old, like 36, yeah.
And I was very afraid of like, this, it doesn't seem right to bring in, someone this old to anchor your defense. But Tyler was on the side of, he's still got a lot of class and still a very good player. And wow, he's shown that he's still a very good center back, and he's provided a lot of leadership and a lot of stability in that back line. Ben Chilwell helps too, but and Edouard Mendy performing pretty well as a goalkeeper too. So it's kind of scary. It was that thing of, Chelsea are going to be really good attacking, but their defense is going to be garbage. And now it's like, okay, their defense is really good and their attack is looking really good. So they kind of have the best of both worlds going on right now. Yeah. So it's kind of scary.
We don't know how long it's going to last though, because once they have to face a really big opponent. I feel like, I mean, they did face United already, but I want to see what happens
during this season. But yeah, no, I know when they hit like their meaty, like the meat of their schedule.
Yeah, let's see what happens if they face like a Bayern Munich or like a Liverpool or Man City. Like I want to see that. But for now, I'm very surprised that they're doing so well in defense with so little time, because they brought in Mendy at the very end of the transfer window. And then Thiago Silva, he has that class where you can tell Reece James is like, hey, wait, what the heck was that? It's like, and then like you can tell the other defenders what to do because he has that experience and has that class. That's what I was thinking when I saw him come in. It very much was like a Van Dijk moment where I was like, oh, okay, I think this will be a big leadership move and something that Man City should have done, but instead they brought in Ake and Ruben Diaz, and I was just like, what the heck was that? But and then for Ben Chilwell, he's just crazy. He just literally thinks he's a left wing at times. But luckily, I have him on James. Reece James. Reece James is like
Reece James just loves taking long shots.
Yes, I kind of like Reece James. He's like a mini Trent, but not as good. But but I would say this Chelsea backline, it is very exciting. It's a lot better than the Kepa era of last season.
Yeah, way better than they finally have a decent backline, which is it's been a while since Chelsea fans could say that. I would say since their title winning season of 2016-17 was probably their last good center back, but even then they put a back 3 or back 5 most of the time. So
Conte,
and Pedro and freaking Victor Moses were. I remember Victor Moses.
I like Victor Moses though.
We're literally like Conte made Marcus Alonso seem like the best left wing back. That
was insane. I was like, this guy,
and he won the league with like David Luiz and such. So he did good things with that squad. But
but real quick, I do want to mention about Sheffield because they have fallen from grace, I would say. Like they literally, we were all anticipating,
Chris Wilder, mate.
Yeah. We were all anticipating that they would be safe, like 13th, 14th place, like it'd be fine. But I really do think losing Dean Henderson has really played a big factor in them doing this poorly. Because I feel like as a goalkeeper, for Dean Henderson, he was able to make those game-saving saves that would keep them in the game and then potentially get like a game winner or a game-tying goal and then keep them, keep the momentum going. But Aaron Ramsdale, the former Bournemouth keeper that came in to replace Dean Henderson, he's part of the reason why Bournemouth got relegated. In my opinion,
he's no Dino.
I honestly think he's as bad as like Pickford, but he's worse because he doesn't have the foot. Like he doesn't have like that monster leg that Pickford has. So I think Rams. Wait, what were you saying?
No, I agree. And also another thing is their attack has been very lackluster this season. They've I think obviously this game they scored a goal, but I have to look at the stats. But they have not scored a lot of goals in the Premier League this season. They've kind of been almost dead on the water. Their attack has been very, very lackluster, and I think it hurts them that they invested quite a bit of money in Ryan Brewster, and he has not looked like a very confident or very good player for them. And when you're a club like Sheffield investing that much money in a young attacking talent, and he doesn't pan out, that it's not good signs for your club if it doesn't pan out, because you need goals to stay in the Premier League.
And just to go to your stat, yes, they have 4 goals.
That's not good.
Yes,
that's not 4 very goals
good. In 8 games, that's a half a goal game. So they're struggling. But I'm really upset for Brewster, man. I thought he was going to go off, but I think, as I've been saying, for his case, at least I hope that's the case. I think it's just the system that he's in. It's not very attacking, and also the thing about Sheffield last season, what made them so good, was that they had the same starting 11 like every single game.
Yeah, everyone got hurt, healthy.
Injured. No one really got injured. So I think this season they've had a little bit of instability in that, and that might have thrown off the flow a little bit. Mm-hmm. And now no one's surprised either. It's like, oh, okay, can't sit back on Sheffield.
No, I know, and I think that's the thing. I'm going to give Chris Wilder the benefit of the doubt, but if things don't get better results-wise, he could be one of the first few managers to kind of be on that hot seat and be on the potential of being out. But I want to give him the benefit of the doubt after what he did last season. But moving on to West Brom Tottenham, this game in particular, I just wanted to mention, it was a classic Jose Mourinho, win it scrappy, doesn't care doesn't care how it played. At the end of the day, Mourinho's just going to tell you, look at the score, who won? Tottenham won. And he's going to be happy. It was very, very, very painful to watch this game. The Tottenham side looks so bad going forward. Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Gareth Bale, all looked so lost and just so disconjointed as an attack. Son looked very off of his form. I thought of all players, I thought I'd give credit to Kane. I thought Kane was probably the best one out of the 3. Gareth Bale, they talked about this in the studio. I agree. He's been kind of meh, to be honest. I know he had that goal last week, but in general, I know he's coming back from injury, but he just really hasn't shown that form, that made him so special at Tottenham, but also that form that made him a really good player at Real Madrid. And he's just in general, he's just been kind of meh. I don't know how many more chances Jose Mourinho will keep giving him, because he's a cutthroat manager. He's not going to keep playing you if you're not performing. So Gareth Bale is a person that is interesting to me. I think everyone kind of expected him no one expected him to be a world beater again, but I thought I would get a little bit more out of him right now. And he's also has some injury doubts again. So that signing's not looking too hot right now for Tottenham, I will say.
It really is I don't know what to say. It's just disappointment. Everyone had this expectation of him. And then he's just like, let me bring it down to way down here, because my friend, listener Sung Min, he just roasts him every single week. It's just like it's like Yush's weekly rant of why Man U's doing poorly. It's like, for Sung Min, it's like a weekly rant of why Bale is bad. And this week, I got another text just saying, he's like, oh, he's injured. It's like, how do you get injured? He was wearing an ice pack prior to the Wales game. So his cap for Wales, this upcoming international break, is in contention, or like it's up in question, because he's questionable. So
he the Masters is also on this week, which is
that was
very convenient time.
Very convenient.
So hopefully maybe kick on as like an amateur, get in the round.
Throwback to when I was in high school and I had a chemistry teacher. The week that Halo Reach came out, he happened to be going to a technology convention. And I was just like, very, very convenient that you had this technology convention as a chemistry teacher that you had to attend the week Halo Reach came out.
That's really funny, actually.
I was like, okay, man.
I had a friend that this was in college. He literally did not go to classes one day because it was a launch day of NBA 2K. I think it was 2K18 that came out. He spent the entire day just playing 2K that day.
I will say that there are people I know at work that take an entire day off just for a game coming out because like that's the most you can look forward to in quarantine times. But even then, before quarantine, it was pretty cool just to have like a big event like this come out, but and then not have to worry about work. But even when I was in college, when FIFA came out, I was like, all right, go to class, but then just not do any homework.
Yeah, I think that's the best way because then it's like, okay, you go through like the little bit of the build up. Well, I think what you have to do is you have to make sure the disc is in so your game installs. So
yes, so you go to class while the game is installing.
Yeah. So you don't waste like your entire life waiting for the game to install. I've made that mistake before and it's not fun.
It's not great when you finish class and then it's like, now it installs. And then you have to wait. And then it's like, I guess I got to do homework.
It's the worst. It's the worst. But yeah, I would characterize Gareth Bale's sort of like that. You know, and I think for what it's worth, Mourinho and the Spurs side are in the top 4. They're doing very well. But the thing is, you know, some games are winning them. It just reminds me of when Mourinho was manager at Manchester United in that second season. There were times where it looked like we were blowing teams out 4-1, 3-1, 2-1, or whatever. However, it was mostly United grabbing the first goal and sitting back and just waiting to pounce on the counterattack, or it was United pouncing on the counterattack. And when it was never, I would say, completely organically beautiful thing to watch. It's not like watching Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp just go at it, where they're focused on the attacking parts of the game. Mourinho is like lock up shop. If we win, we win. And it doesn't matter how I win. It doesn't matter if I play intricate football. It's okay. If I literally have to win off a goalkeeping error, I'm going to take that. And Mourinho will be happy with that. So it's classic Mourinho. It's a classic scrappy Mourinho win. And it works. It's just the one manager I know that it works and he can get away with it because it's Mourinho. It's the only one. And maybe Simeone too, but Mourinho is the masterclass of this stuff. I just don't get it.
I think although it's not the best to watch, it's still pretty remarkable to see executed because that's the sign of, I would say, in my opinion, a good manager. Because in games you're not supposed to win, if you can get away with some points and maybe even the win, like that's not easy. Like it's like not studying for a test and then just acing it. That's essentially what it is, or doing the bare minimum and getting away with it. Yeah. So I think Mourinho knows what the priorities are. I think that's probably the key thing. He knows what he has to do, and I mean, he got the win. That's all we got to say. I guess West Brom, not the best team, but I mean, nevertheless, some of these games are some of the reasons why you might not get top 4. So,
exactly.
I mean, and he still managed to do it with Bale going to the Masters this week.
Oh boy, but yeah, no, I agree. And they also didn't have, I believe, Bergwijn, Harry Winks, and who was their other player? I think they were missing someone else. I can't put my name on it, but they were missing some 3 key players. But yeah, you know, Tottenham got it done. But the last topic I wanted to bring up real quickly. Actually, we'll leave that one at the end because it's a good note. But this one, managers, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, after the Manchester United win, basically blasted the FA and blasted, specifically the FA for scheduling Manchester United after playing in Istanbul, Turkey, or basically playing at Turkey on Wednesday and having to fly back and play an early morning noon kickoff, which is 7:30 a.m. here. And I believe it's like, 12? It's like early morning noonish kickoff. Early noon kickoff at the UK time against Everton on Saturday. So they barely got, I think, 1 day of full rest because they had to train a little bit. And Solskjaer blasted them. Klopp, after this game with Trent Alexander-Arnold, he basically was in agreement with Solskjaer, saying that these players are feeling the brunt the grunt of all this excessive playing, of not having enough rest, playing all the time. I wouldn't be surprised. I think Pep Guardiola has also said something about it. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear Mourinho talk about this, but it brings back this kind of this greater thing that the scheduling is just setting these clubs and these players up to failure. You know, I think there needs to be something done to give them a little bit of rest because it's just unnatural to ask. This isn't FIFA where you can just keep playing. You can keep playing back-to-back games. Like, people need rest. You need your players to get rest so they can recover their muscles, so you can avoid people getting injured, so you can get better. I would arguably say get better football to watch, just better displays to watch. So I'm all for it. I think there needs to be something done where they can at least space out the games a little bit better, because I think it's just the games are just coming too thick and fast for all these clubs. It's just too much, especially clubs that are playing in Europe too. It's just a lot, I would say.
I think for good reason. That's why we're seeing Ole Gunnar and Jurgen Klopp like kind of saying these kind of things, because like they experienced it so far. And I don't think Mourinho would talk about it until he starts losing. So he's gonna be like, I
have nothing to say.
I have nothing to say. And then once he starts losing, it's gonna be like, it's the scheduling. It's not me. And also it's Dele Alli. So there's gonna be certain things like that. So I think in my perspective too, and also Yash now, he's also a working man. It's not easy going from all this, like when work is your life. And I feel like for players, they can't just quit. Yeah. Like if the going is rough, they're in a contract, and also this is like their livelihood. They only have a certain amount of years they can be a professional like this. So it's not like they can just go to another team that I guess they potentially could. I want to get transferred to Stoke. Get transferred to something that doesn't have as strenuous of a schedule, where it's like European. But I mean, the players that are in these teams, they want this at the same time. You know what I mean? Like they want to have Champions League. They want to have all these competitions. But at the same time, it would help if the scheduling was a little better for them. Because at this point, it's like, whatever. It's just they're athletes. They can handle it. But I think whatever needs to happen to kind of instigate it, I can't really think of it unless they see a big player go down. You know what I mean? Or like maybe they're not getting the sales they want, or like maybe the performances they want.
The thing it all goes back to is that the people, I think it's Sky and BT are the two biggest broadcasters in the UK, and they have the first picks of what games they want to broadcast on their channels. And I think the 7:30 game, excuse me, because like we obviously don't live in the UK, so I can't speak specifically, but I believe when they were talking about in the broadcast that Sky gets the first pick, and that was the 7:30 game. Then BT gets the primetime game, which was the City Liverpool. So I think I believe BT got first pick, and BT wanted the Liverpool City game, and which was played on a Sunday. So that means Sky got the early kickoff of Everton and Manchester United. So all of this that pays, the players' contracts, the clubs, pays everyone's salaries is the TV revenue. And unfortunately, it's the TV revenue that kind of determines when you play, when and where you play. So it's going to be hard, because you can't, when that much money is on the line, it would be hard for the Premier League to, obviously they want to side with their players, but their basically livelihood as a league relies on the broadcast and TV revenue. So there's a lot of factors at play. But I think obviously when it comes to just looking at the game as it is, I think these managers are just saying that, hey, we physically can't keep competing 90 minutes straight up the way we want to play. Otherwise, all of our players are going to be getting hurt. But there's obviously a lot of intricacies and stuff that go into it when it comes to determining schedules and such. So
maybe teams can force it by doing load management. It's like
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard. It's like, wait, why isn't Bruno Fernandes playing this game? He's like, is he out? It's like, no, load management, and that might force the TV schedule to.
Could you imagine? Soccer Twitter would go insane.
They'd be like, oh my gosh,
if there was load management in soccer, that would be insane. I mean, just say,
since you work at a broadcasting network, it's like, can you actually move a scheduled? I don't know if you know this. This might be someone else's department, but like, let's say you have a game scheduled for 7:30. Could you move that and just switch out whatever is maybe at like 11 and just play that game then?
Unfortunately, no, because for some of this stuff, a lot of the scheduling is done weeks ahead of time, and if something were to change, you would have to change it so far in advance to help with the changes of everything else. So that's why a lot of people are like, well, why isn't this game on TV? Well, it's like, we can't change it because we've already
scheduling, because Cupcake Wars is taking that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just one of those things like you can't, it's easy in theory just to say, oh, just change it. But a lot of these companies, their scheduling has been put in place for months, even weeks in advance. So they can't just shifted, you know? So unfortunately that's the way it goes, but I'm hoping that, we'll see less injuries. I'm just hoping that no more big players and just no players in general get hurt, because it's not fun. It's definitely not fun as your supporting team to see teams get hurt. But to leave this podcast off on a good note, Tyler, I know you have some exciting news coming from Arsenal.
For all our Arsenal fans, talking to you, Cho, and all the big ones out there. But Gunnersaurus is back. He posted something on Twitter saying he's back. He had like a whole picture of him at the Emirates.
Like this, right?
Yeah, he's like, he had his arms up. For everyone on the video portion of the podcast, so it can make sense, but it's just like the Office episode where they're just like Dwight and Michael are just raising the roof. But I think this is like a big move because it's kind of bringing back to kind of more sane reasoning for Arsenal. It's like, all right, like you got to at least pay your people. You got to pay the people that are boosting the morale, boosting. I think
Mesut Ozil's paying Gunnersaurus.
Yeah, Mesut Ozil is paying of all people.
He doesn't even play for Arsenal.
Maybe he's not Arsenal. Maybe they're still kind of screwy, but
maybe Mesut Ozil is Gunnersaurus, so that's why he can get on the training. The only way he can get on the pitch.
That is the biggest. What's the word for it? Mystery or conspiracy. That's the word.
Oh, okay, that's the word.
Yes, it's like is Gunnersaurus Mesut Ozil. That's just I don't know. I mean,
he just went down a whole big rabbit hole.
How tall is Gunnersaurus? Is he 6 feet? I mean, that could be a factor. I mean, Cho, one of our listeners, has taken a picture of Gunnersaurus, so he would know. Like, did Gunnersaurus speak German to him? I don't know. It's like, but we'll see. And did he get assisted with anything? I don't know. Well, I mean, that's maybe Gunnersaurus. If you're out there, you can hit us up on Twitter, and then we can figure out, or maybe he'll keep this a mystery. Who knows? But we'll see. And I feel like these little moves, in my opinion, are big for a team, because this is like a random tangent, but for everyone at work, hopefully everything's good. But it is a little rough working from home and not being able to see people, because just these little things can maybe boost morale. Clearly it didn't help against Aston Villa this past weekend, since Arsenal lost 3-0 to Aston Villa, but maybe in the future it'll compound and then they can bounce back from it, because having a morale booster is very underrated, I would say. Like, just the happiness and the enjoyment of the players, which is why I was saying like that new training facility for Liverpool. Yeah. Although we don't really get to see it on our end from just TV in general, they get to experience it and do it kind of day in and day out during the weekdays. So I think it's a big morale booster for them. And, these little things can play a part into like bringing out the most out of a player. Just seeing Gunnersaurus can just be enough for it's like, I can't lose this game. Gunnersaurus, I can't let him down.
Exactly.
So like little things like that really do play a big factor. And even at work too. It's like just little random things like, oh, here's a free gift card. So for everyone at work, here's a free gift card for just being here. It's like, all right, cool. And it's like just those little things really do play a big part. So
yeah, I agree. It was when I was going through Twitter, it was nice to see Gunnersaurus smiling.
Yes,
being very happy. It brought a smile to my face.
When I was just looking on Twitter during work, I was just like, oh, that's enough for keep me through the rest of the day now. That's just happy.
Gunnersaurus bringing everyone in the world together for 2020. That's the energy we need right there. But really, with that kind of wraps up episode 96 for us. Please, if you listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, please make sure to give us a rating or review. It definitely helps us out in terms of getting our podcast out to other people. But obviously, a listen is more than enough from you guys. But on YouTube, please subscribe to us at the Premier Pod. We're doing more videos. So right here, like this, definitely, if you want to check out our other episodes, they're on there as well. And please make sure to give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at the Premier Pod. We'll definitely active on there. DM us with anything you got, and we'll definitely be on the roll with that. But yeah, that kind of wraps up episode 96 for us. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and yeah, peace.